What's up, world? This is Sophisticated Investing Life, and today we're going to discuss why I decided to go all in on trading options. Why I trade options instead of buying stocks. Now, for those who don't know, options are derivative contracts. The options price is based off of an underlying stock, right? And options contracts gives the buyer a right, but not the obligation to perform a certain action. And there's two types of contracts. You have either a call option, which gives the buyer a right to buy a stock at a certain price, as well as a put option, which gives the buyer a right to sell a stock at a certain price. Now, most people who are into options or options trading, when you hear about options, they're doing either two things. It's either highly speculative actions, which is they're buying call options, and you hear these stories about call options are going up 200-300% in a number of days. They're doing that, or they're buying put options primarily for protection. This is what a lot of hedge fund managers do. When they want to protect their positions, they buy a put option. But doing either of these is actually a losing proposition, right? For all the one time where a call option will go up 100%, you have many others that will go down 20, 40, 60%. Like, it's not worth it. That's a speculative game. That is not investing. That is gambling. Don't do that. The other side, put options. Now, if you're going to buy put options, they work, but unless you're willing to pay up for really good protection, like the stock market falls by like 10%, unless you're willing to pay up for that, it's not really worth buying them, because it's just a cost center, and the stock market doesn't drop as much. Like, the payoff's not really there. However, there is a way to actually make money trading options. That's if you're selling options. If you're an option seller instead of an option buyer. It's particularly put options, but that's another discussion for another video. Just know that selling options is much better than buying options. Now, before I talk about the specific reasons why I like selling options and starting to do this over stocks, I want to tell you a story about how I started making the transition, right? Because I am a big stock guy. If you look over my past videos, I always talk about stocks, primarily growth stocks. So when did I start making that transition over to selling options? It was about a year ago, right? It was about beginning of December 2018. Myself, as well as many other investors, were losing money. The stock market was coming down. Fears of recession was looming. We didn't know what was really going on. October was rough. November thought it was going to get a little better, but December it picked back up, right? So there was a little bit of a frustration there. And it was just tough. Like, I'm losing money, right? But I had a meeting with my day job with a smaller hedge fund manager who's not just making money, not losing money, but he was making money during this time, right? He was making money during this time, and he was telling me that he was thinking about shutting down his hedge fund, although he was doing well. He was actually doing really well, beating the market ever since he started in 2011. And it's primarily because he wanted to spend more time at home with his family. He just had a second child, and he realized his first child was about 3-4 years old, and he just wasn't there for the beginning part of his life, because he was having 80-hour work weeks working at a hedge fund, running a hedge fund, right? And now he's a multi-millionaire, and he realized, I can generate nearly $100,000 a month off of it using options and still have time, only 1 to 2 hours a week instead of 80. Like, a crazy trade-off, and he knows how to trade them safely, right? So why not just do that? That hit me in a way, because it was like saying that he can get 2% easily a month, and I'm like, oh, I want some of that. So I asked him for more advice, got back to the drawing board. Originally, I was scared away from options because they look complicated. Once you start learning about all the different names of the strategies, it looks complicated, but it's not as complicated as you think when you take a more simplified approach. So I gave it a try all of 2019. I actually split my portfolio into two, right? It was the stocks and it was the options trading. Now the stocks, did decent, nearly 30% for the year, just on the stock side. On the option side, it was almost double, at nearly 50%, right? Like, that was next level to me. Not only that, I have the absolute confidence I can generate 30 to 50%. And it's not as risky as you may think. once you figure out the basics of what you're doing. Now, after that, let's talk about some of the lessons I've learned and primarily the top 4 reasons why I prefer options trading now instead of buying stock. So go ahead, tap that like button, and if you're interested in learning more, let's dig right in. So first off, with trading options, there's less uncertainty involved, primarily because you know the odds of you making or losing money up front. Unlike stocks where you may expect to make money in the long run, you know that there's a good chance you can lose money in the short run. I mean, there's a really good chance, especially if you're like me going to more of these growth stocks. There's a really good chance you can lose money in the short run. But you know that's not always the case with options. You can kind of figure out I have an 80 to 90% probability that I'm going to make money over maybe 1 month, 1 week, or 1 year. Like you got all these options you can use. Play on word, options on options. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, so yeah, especially when you also not just do naked options, which is, you just sell options without any, with all the downside. If you can find a way to cap your downside, which is vertical spread trading, that's what the whole purpose of it is. It caps your downside. So now you know how much you could lose, even at 90% probability that 10% goes against you. Now you know what your max loss is. So it's like, you have more certainty going into any position you put on. Second, like I mentioned before, it's a more consistent way to profit from high risk stocks, right? High risk stocks allow me to invest in the companies I enjoyed keeping up with without being afraid to lose lots of money. I got started. What the hedge fund manager told me was to get started was sell put options in higher risk stocks because you're going to get enough. You're going to be collecting enough money for it to be worth it. So I did it primarily with 2 stocks I was really interested in, Amazon and Nvidia, and then expanded to more riskier stocks down the road. And these stocks tend to be very volatile, but volatility is the primary input of options, right? So as long as I was able to sell consistently at 90% probability of not losing on a trade, I did pretty well, and the numbers worked out, and I actually did better than 90%. I had a losing trade or 2, but it wasn't like monstrous of like wiping me out like what a lot of people think. Now, don't get me wrong, you are giving up some potential upside doing this. So for example, Nvidia, the stock was up 75% in 2019, whereas my portfolio, like I mentioned before, was only up just short of 50%. However, Nvidia also lost like 40-50% from October to December of 2018, and I was feeling that loss too, right? So I'd rather have the chance to consistently gain 30-50% than one stock can double up, or one stock can get 70-80%, but I also have a chance of losing a lot of money, right? And speaking of falling prices, the third reason I prefer options over stocks is that I can make money even in a bear market. It is possible to actually make money in a bear market. So let's just use selling options in general. You can make money in multiple ways. Buying a stock is only if the stock goes up or the stock goes down. With selling put options, which is the same expression as buying a stock, you can make money when the stock goes up, stock flatlines, or even if the stock loses a little bit of money, right? You can even lose a tiny bit. You're still fine. You'll still probably be good. It's just when the stock loses a lot, when you may get challenged, right? But also keep in mind, option prices actually naturally come down over time. So you put on a trade for like maybe 2 months, and then 1 month in, this is when the stock price actually goes down and starts challenging you. But because the option price went down so much, it might not be a real challenge, right? It seems scary at first, but it's really not. There's ways you can move around that. I mean, there's different options for rolling positions and these sorts, and we can talk about these things later on in other videos, but just know there's a way to make money even when the stock market is falling. And even if you have a losing position, it's similar to insurance, right? When you get into a car accident, all of a sudden the premiums go up. Same thing with options. This is actually how Warren Buffett made money in 2008, selling put options in the midst of the global financial crisis, and actually collecting over $4 billion in profits doing so. And speaking of Buffett, His option selling is one of the 3 secrets that I discuss in the free PDF in the description below. These top 3 secrets from Warren Buffett is the real reason of why he's the wealthiest investor of all time. The media doesn't tell you this. They've all been lying to us, or potentially you just don't know. So download the free PDF in the description below. Top 3 secrets why he is the richest investor of all time, and how you can take his secrets and even turn your investment account to 6 or even 7 figures in no time. Now, my 4th and last reason for making the transition from buying stocks to selling options is that it can be used as a reliable income source for retirement. One problem I was thinking about trying to achieve financial independence, and if you read like Rich Dad Poor Dad, passive income and all that, is that you want money actually coming in to a point where you can self-sustain and not worry, right? So for example, the FIRE movement preaches saving up 20 to 25 times your living expenses. So for example, if you are living off of $4,000 a month, let's say you save up $1 million, right? So you can just decrease from that over time, and maybe you put that in the dividend stocks, maybe not. But if you become really good at options trading, you can get that $4,000 a month off of just $200,000 options account, generating 2% a month. Now that's not advised. I would probably say more of the 1% variety, but that's still $400,000 is still much less than $1 million you need to save up, right? And you still have that chance to like generate income, and that's a much more reliable way than dividend stocks or just putting money in the stock market in general, because you never know when it's going to go up or it's going to go down. So yeah, you can continue to build wealth in that way, especially once you start getting things going, and it's definitely a good way for the cash to keep coming in. And there you have it. Why I trade options, primarily sell options instead of buying stocks. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the stock picking process. I absolutely love it. Finding the stocks, understanding the story behind the stocks, debating with different people in my comments about this is a good stock or it's a bad stock. So I still have a small part of the portfolio for that, and I'm still going to talk about that, especially stocks that are very popular. Like for example, Uber. Recently just did a video over Uber stock, the bull and the bear case for it. So if you haven't seen that, check it out in the card above. And yeah, definitely going to still do those stocks, right? But now I'm going to incorporate a lot more options based videos into the channel. I'm talking about those things more. I'm even thinking about putting together an online course for it. So if you're really interested, be on the lookout for that. But this is where I am leaning at this moment, and keep pushing on it and see if I can continue the success I've had in 2019. So which route are you leaning? Are you more open to the idea of options trading, primarily selling options, or are you just hardline, I'm a stock buyer, I'm a buy stocks only, and that's how you're going to build up your wealth? Let me know in the comment section below. And don't forget to download my free PDF discussing Warren Buffett's top 3 investment secrets. It's going to help, trust me. Well, that's all I have for you all today. Thanks for watching, and stay sophisticated.